As dusk descended over Frederick, Maryland, the golden hues of the setting sun dappled the worn facade of an old house tucked away in a quiet neighborhood. Inside this sanctuary of antiquity, beneath the dim glow of a solitary desk lamp, sat Arthur, a scribe of the human condition. His spectacles balanced precariously on the bridge of his nose, his gaze fixed upon the dancing shadows that lurked beyond the rain-streaked window. In this realm of half-light, Arthur was a statue of introspection, his generous soul bound by the silence of his study. His eyes, seasoned with age and wisdom, held a depth that belied his middle-aged countenance. A faint smile etched his lips as he regarded an old photograph of a radiant child with emerald eyes. Helen, a symbol of love, lost yet cherished. The flickering lamplight painted over the scars of his past. There was a history of trauma there, a dance with bipolar disorder that had shaped him into the man he was today. Sometimes a demon, sometimes a muse, the illness had gifted him a lens to perceive the world in shades often lost to the uninitiated. In his hands lay a bundle of police reports, their contents suggestive of the dark underbelly of Frederick. The drug trade had found fertile soil in this seemingly innocuous town, a malignant secret that was slowly strangling its lifeblood. A frown tugged at the corners of his mouth as his thoughts drifted to the police station, an edifice of law and order, now shrouded in sinister implications. A soft knock jolted him from his musings. It was Sarah, his housekeeper, a woman whose face was a worn map of kindness and unspoken stories. "Another late night, Arthur?" she asked, her voice a comforting lullaby that swept across the silence of the room. He nodded, looking back at the files. "A story that refuses to be ignored, Sarah." She watched him, her eyes flickering with a motherly concern. "Just be careful, Arthur. Some stories have a way of taking more than they give." "I know, Sarah, I know," he responded, the echoes of old nightmares surfacing within his gaze. "But remember, I'm not just a journalist. I am a sentinel of truth. And if there is something festering in this town, it's my duty to bring it to light." Sarah sighed, retreating to the doorway, her gaze lingering on him. "As long as you don't lose yourself in the process, dear." As he returned to his documents, the weight of his task draped over him like a shroud. He knew he was no longer a mere observer, but an actor within this plot, drawn into an ever-deepening abyss. His path led not just through the alleys and precincts of Frederick, but also through the labyrinth of his own psyche, where a past trauma waited, patient as a spider. The mornings in Frederick, Maryland, held a deceptive tranquility, where the rustling leaves danced in harmonious rhythm to the lullaby of the breeze. Amidst this deceptive calm, Arthur navigated the labyrinth of his investigation. The heart of the town was a paradox, a painting of Americana distorted by the brushstrokes of urban decay. Conversations with locals hinted at the disquiet underpinning the superficial calm. The town's folks were unwilling custodians of dread, their eyes shadowed by fear and uncertainty. One day he found himself at Patty's Diner, a town fixture that smelled of pancakes and nostalgia. He was there to meet his source, a man named Robert, a constable at the local police station, caught between duty and fear. Robert was a man of worn edges and sharp angles, a labyrinth of guilt and fear etched into his face. "This is bigger than just a drug ring, Arthur," he confessed over cups of black coffee. "There's something else, something unnatural." Arthur tilted his head, his interest piqued. "What do you mean, unnatural?" "I mean, I hear things, whispers that ain't there, footsteps in empty halls, and the symbols." Robert trailed off, his gaze drifting toward the window. "Symbols?" Arthur prodded, intrigued. Robert sketched on a napkin, hands trembling. The result was an archaic symbol, grotesque in its intricate design. Arthur recognized it from a carving on a desk at the station. An icy shiver coursed down his spine. He felt the tug of something far more potent and terrifying than a mere crime network. Returning home, the symbol invaded his thoughts, insistent as a scream in silence. The mystery was no longer a mere puzzle to solve, but an unfolding enigma threatening to engulf him whole. Sleep offered little refuge. His dreams were a surrealistic montage, populated by harrowing whispers, symbol-laden apparitions, and a face eerily familiar. Helen's. Awaking in a cold sweat, the troubling epiphany fell upon him like a death knell. Helen, his estranged daughter, was part of this abominable tableau. This revelation ignited a newfound resolve in him. His investigation had just become personal. As dawn broke, casting long, haunting shadows across the room, he stood at the precipice of understanding. A cosmic terror lurked at the edges of his consciousness, nudging him towards a reality far darker than he'd ever imagined. His journey was no longer a mere descent into the heart of Frederick, but a dance with the unfathomable, an ancient horror that promised to shatter his reality. The labyrinth was indeed unfolding, and at its center, he knew, lay a terror beyond his comprehension. His journey had barely begun, and already the ominous drumbeats of the cosmic terror could be felt. As days bled into nights, the town of Frederick seemed to coil in upon itself, a creature shrouded in apprehension. Arthur's journey through the labyrinth of the drug trade and mysterious occurrences had begun to tear at the veil of the ordinary, revealing a horrific tableau that lurked just beneath the surface. The symbol that Robert had shared had become a common thread, weaving through the fabric of the town's tapestry. It was found in unexpected places, drawn in condensation on the window of a local grocery store, etched into the bark of trees, and even faintly visible in the dewy design of a spider's web. Its omnipresence seemed to echo an unspeakable dread, reverberating through the very soul of Frederick. One dreary afternoon, he found himself at the public library, amidst ancient texts and forgotten lore, where the librarian, a white-haired woman named Edna, presented him with a brittle, leather-bound book titled Shadows of Eons Past. She said this might help, her eyes reflecting a knowledge deeper than he cared to fathom. The volume, heavy with dust and secrets, spoke of a primordial force, an ancient cosmic horror that thrived on fear and chaos. It detailed the symbol, a signature of this malignant entity. The town, its police, and the drug trade were not just embroiled in human corruption, but were unwitting pawns in a much larger, more terrifying game. The revelation struck him like a thunderbolt. His town was not only being choked by narcotics, but it was also in the grip of an indomitable cosmic entity. An old quote resonated in his mind. "We live on a placid island of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far." Yet he couldn't retreat, not when Helen's face flickered in his dreams, not when the town he loved lay under an ancient, malevolent shadow. The journalist in him had long since given way to the father and the protector. He would confront this cosmic entity, this terror that lurked in the shadows of Frederick, Maryland. A nocturnal storm battered Frederick as he sat in his study, the symbol sprawled in front of him. He realized his fight was not against mortal criminals. It was against an invincible force, a titan from the abyss of the cosmos that laughed at human insignificance. It was a battle he knew he couldn't win. Yet as the father of a trapped child and a son of Frederick, it was a battle he had to fight. The cosmic terror had been revealed, and it was time to make his stand. As the cosmic horror's shadow stretched across Frederick, Arthur ventured deeper into the belly of the beast. The town that once seemed a sanctuary was now a labyrinth of terror, a cosmic nexus where mundane and the extraterrestrial grotesquely intertwined. Days were cloaked in gloom, nights echoed with hushed whispers of the terrified townsfolk. Arthur, however, remained undeterred, driven by a paternal instinct that drowned out the gnawing fear of the unknown. His path led him to an old, decrepit warehouse on the outskirts of town. Here he found Helen, lost and terrified yet unbroken. In her eyes, he saw his reflection, a shared experience of the cosmic horror that transcended their estranged relationship. Their reunion was a quiet symphony amidst the discord of terror. Escape, however, was not easy. As they navigated the labyrinthine streets of Frederick, the town seemed to twist and writhe around them, a serpent under the control of the cosmic entity. The previously familiar streets were now disoriented, reality distorted as if viewed through a twisted mirror. Yet even against such insurmountable odds, they persevered. The path to freedom was a dance with darkness, a symphony of whispers that echoed the cosmic terror's derision. But as the first light of dawn cut through the night, they escaped Frederick's physical boundaries. Their bodies were free, but their minds were forever imprinted with the experience. Back at his study, the echo of his old life, he sat, a solitary figure under the glow of the desk lamp. The room was silent, save for the scratching of his pen against paper. He was documenting the unspeakable, the tale of a town ensnared by a cosmic horror, of a father and daughter's fight against an ancient evil. His gaze fell upon the photograph of Helen, her eyes radiant even in the faded light. She was safe now, but forever changed. They both were. The last sentence he wrote hung heavily in the air. We escaped the shadow of Frederick, but one does not simply walk away from the shadows. They cling, they linger, they become a part of you. He set his pen down, his gaze drifting to the rain-streaked window. Beyond the glass lay a world oblivious to the cosmic horrors that lurked in its crevices. He leaned back, a quiet figure in the dim light, the tale of Frederick a heavy weight in his heart. He had escaped the inescapable, yet he knew he was never truly free. The echoes of the cosmic horror would follow him, a reminder of the darkness that lay just beneath the surface of existence. The silence of his study was no longer a sanctuary. It was a tomb of memories of a terror that lurked in the corners of the universe, forever watching, forever waiting. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed our content, show your support with a like and subscribe, and stay notified by hitting the bell icon. Expect more cosmic horror from Eldritch Tales Factory, and feel free to explore our other stories. See you in the next video.